At 67, I thought my life was well behind. My name is Margaret, and after losing me husband of 40 years, I had settled into a quiet, predictable existence. My days were filled with familiar routines, morning walks in the park, afternoon gardening, and evenings spent with books and cups of tea. I had grown comfortable with the solitude of being a widow. It was a life of contentment, but it was also a life of resignation. I often thought that the years of excitement, passion, and adventure had passed me by, was something I had left behind, a chapter that had long since closed. My children would often visit, and they were supportive and kind, but I could tell they were starting to think that perhaps I should meet someone again or try something new, but I didn't feel ready for that. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to. Life was simpler without the complications of dating and relationships, or so I told myself. That'll began to change when I decided to take a painting class at the local community center. I had always wanted to explore my creative side, but had never found the time. Now, with more free time in my hands, I figured it would be a good way to meet others and fill the void. Thought had begun to grow. I remember walking into the class for the first time, unsure of what to expect. I was one meeting Henry off the older participants, but it didn't bother me. The other people were kind and shared stories as we painted, but then her walked in Henry. He was in his early 70s with a gentle smile and a kind face. I was immediately struck by his presence. He wasn't like the others in the class. There was something about him that felt different, more energetic, more alive. We were introduced and we exchanged pleasantries, but it wasn't until later that I realized something had shifted. In him, for the first time in years, I felt an attraction I hadn't thought possible. We began to talk more during the class. Our conversations, starting with art and growing deeper as the weeks passed. He had a wonderful sense of humor, and histories about his travels made me laugh. It was as if he had a love for life that had never waned, a love that I had forgotten I once had. I realized that I had been living in the past for too long, holding on to the memory of a life that I could never get back. One afternoon after class, we decided to take a walk in the nearby park. The weather was beautiful, and it felt natural to spend painting the countryside or time together. As we walked, Henry began talking about his passion for painting and how he had always dreamed of taking a trip to the countryside to paint the landscapes. Invited me to join him, suggesting that it would be a wonderful opportunity to see the world through his eyes. The idea of traveling again, of experiencing something new, felt thrilling and terrifying. I had spent so many years telling myself that I was too old for adventures, but something in Henry's invitation stirred a long-buried desire for freedom and excitement. I found myself saying yes without hesitation. That trip turned out to be the most liberating experience of my life. We spent several days in the countryside, depicting the rolling hills and walking through the small villages. We laughed, shared stories, and talked about everything from art to life to love. Henry's companionship brought me comfort and joy, and I realized how much I had missed those feelings. I had thought that love and connection were things of the past for me, but here I was discovering that it was never too late for new experiences. Henry never once treated me like I was too old. He saw me for who a new beginning was now, not for the years behind me, but for the woman I still had the potential to be. As the trip came to an end, Henry and I shared a quiet moment by a lake. The sun was setting, and the water with the soft light. We sat there in silence, neither of us needing to say anything in that moment. I realized that this was just the beginning. It wasn't about the romance or the adventure. It was about reclaiming parts of myself that I had lost over the years. Henry had opened a door that I didn't even know was there, a door to the possibility of a life filled with love, a passion, and growth. I wasn't just going on this journey with him, I was rediscovering myself. When we returned home, things were different, felt lighter, more alive. I had found someone who made him feel young again, but more importantly, I had found myself. I started to pursue hobbies, reconnect with old friends, and embrace the possibilities that came with every new day. I stopped seeing as someone whose best years were behind her. Instead, I saw someone whose future was still waiting to be written. I wake up every morning with a renewed sense of purpose. I am no longer waiting for life to pass me by. I have learned that it's never too late to start over, to try new things, and to find love. Age is just a number, and it's the experiences we choose to embrace that shape our lives. This new beginning isn't something I had planned for, but I wouldn't have it any other